What's up, sons? It's Blind Riding with Son of a Tech once again, and today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my monthly budget for the month of May 2022 for specifically just the mining farm. Now, I have pulled out some of the stuff from the mining farm, like projected improvements as well as projected debt and so on. So basically all we have in this monthly budget is going to be mining revenue and costs to maintain the farm. As you guys may know, I have been pretty stressed surrounding this subject. Now that some light is shined onto it, I have a couple paths and a couple things to take a look at. We'll talk about it after, of course, a word from today's sponsor. Today's sponsor is Crypto.com. Crypto.com is my go-to centralized exchange for liquidating my crypto assets. With their Crypto.com Visa debit card, I can load up my mined Ethereum to pay for power and other operating costs quickly while earning up to 8% cash back. In addition to the Visa debit card, there are additional fiat options, including wire transfers, to easily receive your profits. Crypto.com also offers additional services, including trading and even staking, to earn additional revenue on your investments. Join 10 million plus users buying and selling 100 plus cryptocurrencies at true cost by using my affiliate link in the description for a $25 funding bonus. Or enter referral code SOAT at sign up for the same bonus. Remember, cryptocurrency investment comes with significant risks, so do your own research. Welcome back. So first things first, let's go ahead and talk about average hash rate and what we're ending up seeing, just so you guys are aware of it. Now, this hash rate can be improved. I've been slowly getting everything more and more reliable with the heat that we are dealing with here in Texas. The other thing that has happened, of course, this month is an increase in power costs. So once we get into the summer months for my particular power costs, we go up about a penny per kilowatt hour. So we've gone up from 5.3 cents per kilowatt hour to now 6.3 cents per kilowatt hour. That is adjusted in the budget as well. All right, so the last 24 hours, as you guys can see, we're sitting at 4.92 gigahash a second. I get better hash rates in the evening once it's cooled down. Today was one of the hotter days around here, getting really close to that 100 degrees. And it's very difficult to keep the farm cool without the proper ventilation that I've been waiting on for a long time. We've discussed it quite a bit. That being said, the past 3-hour average is 4.5 and the current is 4.65 gigahash a second. Now, I can get a lot closer to 6 gigahash a second, and I will definitely have to work extremely hard to get close to that for, of course, being able to survive. Now, that projected forecast would put us at $106 a day, dual mining, of course, Ethereum and Zilliqa. If we have the week at $746, and for the 30 days or the next 30 days, that's projected to be at $3,198. That being said, what I have placed into what to mine is basically a rudimentary plugin for Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, utilizing Ethereum Classic for my bad bottom end dollar right now, just to see if we're in survivability mode. And I do have, of course, the kilowatt hour in here for the summer months. I'm going to put it at 6.3 there so that we have that plugged in, and whenever I do, it just adjusts it to 0.06 cents. But it's close enough to start getting projections if we're starting to maintain that 5 gigahash a second. I am going to be working on models to basically show the 6 gigahash a second if we can fully, of course, figure out ventilation and so on and maintain the hash rates throughout the day. That will be later on in this series, because clearly this month my goal is to essentially try to figure out how we're going to survive a bear market for as bad as things get. So if we took a look at that after power costs, right, we should be at $89.37 a day. in revenue, and that does look like we are beating that by a little bit, right? Just after power costs, depending on, of course, how much uptime and how lucky the pools get. And we'll go over that with what I've actually made. But that would be 89.37 a day times, let's do 28 days to be safe. After power costs, we should be looking at $2,502.36 a day. Excuse my phone. I'll get that out of the way. So that doesn't sound that bad. We're definitely in the green for Ethereum. The downside that I have is what I was referring to as probably one of my biggest mistakes, which is trying to expand into a rental property to get access to more power. And that has failed me because at this point, what I have essentially is a $1,671 rent payment to make, but I'm still on 200 amps worth of power, kind of limiting me to around this 6 gigahash on GPUs. And that is going to be basically the detriment that I run into, because at that point, what we end up with is roughly around $700 in profit as it sits right now. We know it's only going to get worse. So I'm trying to figure out exactly how that's going to function and play out. If we looked at it for Ethereum Classic, right, which is going to be kind of that worst case scenario for now, and it could get worse, right? And we'll have to continue to monitor this. I'll be doing these monthly budget reports pretty much every month, I think, on the 2nd of the month as I get the work done that I'm going to just share with you guys. I've created a completely separate budget sheet that is in just using Google Sheets. If you want to copy essentially the exact same setup, you're welcome to, but that would be 5572 times 28, giving us the worst case would be $1,560 in profit after power, which puts me in the red, right? So if we subtract our 1671, I'll just do 1672, we're in the red by $111 a month mining. And that is essentially due to, of course, the fact that we will have the current 5 gigahash online. The more power I get online, the closer we can get into, of course, the green on Ethereum Classic. So let's say I get all the ventilation and all the parts that I currently have available up and running. What are we looking at, right? And of course, there are other things to like deep dive as far as taking each card and putting them on the most profitable coin, trying to figure out liquidation and so on. These are just the easiest to liquidate, so they're kind of also give us a good idea of what's happening there. If we got up to the 6 gigahash a second, then we're at $111 a day after power on Ethereum. And on Ethereum Classic, we're at $71.49. So things start to look a little bit better because at $71.49 times 28, we're looking at $2,001, which means we would be in the green by about, $330. So obviously my goal over the next month is to get myself into the green for Ethereum Classic. And then I feel a little bit better about things. But unfortunately, we seem to continue to go backwards due to the heat. And that is really where I sit at trying to resolve all of this. So let's go over the monthly budget for, of course, May. What I've done here is I've just set up the transactions and everything that was cost. You can see the expenses and the income. So an important one is insurance. If you're going to form an LLC and rent property, you will be required to have basically $1 million liability insurance policy. That is going to be an additional $30 that goes into my cost. So I was trying to figure out why things went really poorly, right? Now our starting balance from April was $188. So that was basically Ethereum left over that I hadn't moved out and invested into any equipment or future plans or used to cover bills around the house, right? So that's kind of what we had left over. So that's kind of where that balance comes from. I just threw that in there. Not much. Yes, margins are getting skinny, and that is kind of how we sit, right? So our rent is at $17.22. I said earlier it was at $16.71. there is essentially going to be a $50 charge to pay with a card. So I've been utilizing the crypto.com card to essentially make that payment. What I will need to adjust to now, clearly, is making some sort of ACH deposit from crypto.com or Coinbase to a bank account to save an additional $50. I'll be letting you guys know if that's actually feasible due to other fees, etc., and which one plans out better. But if I pay with the crypto.com card, I do pay $17.22 in rent, and that is the true cost. Now, the power. This is where things get interesting. Our projected power is at 6.3 cents a kilowatt hour, which should put us at 1,063 a month. And I was trying to figure out what exactly happened. And obviously, since we have the budget running and everything, I figured out that our power generation went way up, or our power costs went way up. This appears to be a yearly charge that was referred to as a power cost recovery adjustment due to the winter storms from 2021. So this month, it was essentially an additional charge for the entire month. As you can see here, what we would have ended up with was the 776 plus the 150 plus the 21 plus the 998 plus the 124. Well, the 124 and 998 is obviously being also pumped up by this 1,048 here. So good news is that I have figured out exactly why we made almost no money. Bad news is I don't know how to calculate that in, because from what I can tell, this will be a 5% yearly charge, and that is going to be a little bit hard to budget in. I'm glad I caught it, glad I'm aware of it, and this was implemented in August of last year, and I seem to have missed it from my power company, and that is going to be kind of a little bit of a setback for me, especially right now. So the good news is I caught it, right? So now mining profitability. First of all, I have to thank Papa Lip and a couple of the people that donated, because our plan was going to be 3,351 for the month. What we ended up with was 3,952 for the month, which gave us an additional $601, which has kept me in the green. So thank you so much, Papa Lip and everybody else that kept the farm in the green. It means that we ended up with $152. That's not much to invest into anything for hardware, but we're surviving. It is what it is, right? So the ASIC mining projected $100. That's just off of Litecoin and Dogecoin. And that ended up being an actual of $107 US. So we were $7 over as far as that goes. I do have speculative mining coins. I do have other coins that were mined during some of the migration tests. That's not included in here. In the GPU mining, the only profitability that we have included, or the only revenue that we have included, not profitability, but the revenue that we have included is purely just Ethereum at this time. And for the ASICs, like I said, it's the Dogecoin, Litecoin. So we've had about maybe 6 days or so mining other alternative coins that is not calculated into here. But at this point, because of survivability of the farm and so on, I think we're going to leave it right here on Ethereum. We're going to talk about the migrations though, for sure. I think that there are some other options here to look at, but as it sits, this is where it's headed. So my goal, obviously, is to continue to track this and give you guys the update. Our end balance, luckily, is now $340 US. Oh, and we did have parts, $24 in parts. This $24 in parts was due to a failed 140 millimeter fan on the Octominer X12. So that died. I replaced that fan, and that payment obviously went into the balance. So I wanted to track parts. I'm only going to be tracking necessary parts. Later on, also, if I do purchase GPUs for investment, that will be another cell that we add for this monthly budget. Hopefully this will help some of you guys alleviate, maybe even feel better about where you're at in your position. Staying in a home might be obviously beneficial right now, or owning your property outright would be extremely beneficial right now. That's not the position I'm in. So how do you solve this problem, right? This problem is the problem of rent. The rent cost is too high. The rent's too high. And the thing is like the only way to really solve that is by getting more hash rate on the network. And the only way to do that is to upgrade the power. Now, the power upgrades were supposed to be in a long time ago. And frankly, if they would have been in last July when they were supposed to be in, then I probably would have had the capital to invest. And instead, obviously, the dip in cryptocurrency means a lot of my capital was liquidated quite quickly, 50 to 60% of it, just kind of as we waited, because I did not pull that out into cash. And that is a lesson that I can learn for the next bull run, which is obviously when you're sitting on this and you're planning upgrades, if you have the capital and you're planning an upgrade, in the future, take that cash capital out and set that aside for the upgrades. That's what I could have done, right? For example, we could have had something like, I think in December even, we had about 20,000 in Bitcoin, somewhere around there. That could have been pulled out into cash and put to the side. There are other expenses in my personal life that are taking up a little bit more of this too. We'll talk about that later on. That's also something I'm working on, but I don't want to get into too much detail. That being said, if we could have pulled that out, we would have had enough money to essentially upgrade when the power gets into place. So the only way to compensate here, right, is more hash power. And that's because the hash power has to exceed the effect of the rent. So what we need to see is, yes, my rent won't change, my power capabilities will go up, and we'll have to scale that, right? Because if you have one 3090 that's doing almost $2 a day, then $1 of that is going to power or whatever, and then you take another $1 of that and that can go to the rent. But if you have, basically more and more 3090s on the farm, then you basically double that every single time you add on more hash power, which makes the rent cost appear less. And that's kind of where I'm at as far as this goes. Hopefully this gives you guys an idea of how maybe you can help start managing yours. I'm not a financial expert. I'm clearly kind of failing at this, and I'm trying. So maybe also coming out with this, you guys can give me some thoughts and ideas of how to do this. What I've always done in the past is this end balance of 340 as it sits right now has typically gone back during a bear market, gone back into buying another graphics card. Maybe that gets me 2 1660 Supers now, and I can throw those online, and then we'll go from there. So thanks for watching. Be sure to hit the like, comment, subscribe down below, and I will see you next Tuesday. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the subscribe button for more, or check out this playlist for more crypto content related topics.